Did you know that speaking is one of the most powerful ways that you can use to promote your book as well as your business? Hi, this is Carma Spence, and last week I gave a mini workshop on how to use speaking to promote your book. In today's video, I'm going to share with you highlights from that mini workshop, which means this video will be a little bit longer than usual. Going forward, I recommend that you take a piece of paper and a pen or a pencil, whatever your favorite writing implement is, and when I talk about something that piques your interest, write that down, because then after the video is done, you can go and find out how to implement that particular technique, because this is an overview of all the myriad ways that speaking can help you promote your book. Enjoy.
So, tonight I'm going to talk about how to use speaking to promote your book. Since you are in this room, you are working on improving your speaking skills. This is a goal of yours. If you are a member of this club, you also might be interested in authoring a book or may have already authored a book. So now you can take these two interests, meld them together, and get more sales and even create products that help grow your business related to your book. So why use speaking to promote your book? Well, for one, getting in front of people and talking about your book, about your topic, about your expertise, creates a stronger connection with your readers. It also gives you more opportunities for promotion than just your standard book promotions. And it can establish your brand and expertise. If you are in nonfiction or fiction, branding is really important. You want to be known for something. And speaking can help you establish that brand more deeply. Now, there are different types of speaking that you can use to promote your book. There's the how, which means, are you doing it in person, like I'm doing right now? Or are you doing it virtually, like on Facebook Live or a YouTube video? And then there's the purpose of your speaking. You may be speaking purely to promote, or you may be speaking to educate, or you may be speaking to edu-promote. And I just made that word up on the fly. Edu-promote. Edu-promote. That's a Karmaism. Speaking in person. There are lots of different opportunities you can take to speak in person to promote your book. The obvious ones that most people think about is at bookstores and libraries. You do book readings, you do book signings. Those are very standard ways that authors use speaking to promote their book. But you can also hold workshops. And this may be counterintuitive, but that goes whether you're doing nonfiction or fiction. I know a fiction author who has created an entire business about the concept that was introduced in his novel. It was about being hacked. People's personalities and emotions were being hacked, and now he has this whole business that's all about becoming unhackable, and it's all nonfiction. So you can make this work. You can speak at conventions and trade shows, and they don't necessarily need to be book conventions and trade shows. So if you are doing, for example, my next book is about public speaking. I'm going to be looking at going to conventions where speakers go and speaking at those types of conventions and trade shows. Book festivals, and even other festivals. Let's say you wrote a book about crafting. Well, a crafting festival would be an ideal place for you to speak about your book and your expertise. And then, of course, there are meetings. Corporations, clubs like ours are all looking for speakers to enhance what their meetings. Your book might be the perfect fit for one of their meetings. You can speak at there. And if you do it right, you can also get bulk sales of your book, which is always good. Going further into bookstores and libraries. Again, we talked about book signings and reading. Usually, if you're doing one, you're doing the other. It's pretty much expected if you're going to be at a bookstore that you're going to read a sample from your book. Although you don't have to, it depends on the arrangement that you had with the bookstore manager. And of course, there's workshops. Pictured on this here is I've got one where I'm actually doing my book signing, and I shared information about my book when I was doing 57 Secrets. That was at a now defunct bookstore called Apostrophe Books. And the other picture where I have the banner behind me, I actually did a book launch where I created a workshop based on the content of my book. And there were all these people here who came to learn about the topic of online marketing, because that's what that book was about. So you can create your own workshops around the topic of your book. And when you're speaking in person in workshops, you want to go beyond the bookstores and libraries. I mean, again, those are the obvious places. Those are good places to start. They are excellent places for you to kind of get your feet wet and really hone what it is that you want to share in your speaking. But then you want to branch out, host your own events. And when you've had enough of that kind of stuff, you can get on other people's stages. People are giving conferences and they need other speakers. Now, when you start doing that, there's two ways to do this. There's the pay to play, which means you pay to be on that stage, and hopefully you make enough sales to cover that cost. Or it's more of an affiliate thing, where you're selling a product at the end of your speech, usually of a certain, at least $300 or more, and then you share a piece of your sales with the host. It all depends on how you work that out, but once you start having enough speaking under your belt, you can get on other people's stages, and that can totally explode your business. Conventions, trade shows, and festivals. There's different things you can do with these things. You can do keynote speeches. So a keynote speech is usually something that's motivational or inspirational. It's not promotional. It might be educational. So for example, with my public speaking, I might do a speech on why would you want to learn how to speak? Or I might talk about skill versus talent, something that gets the people in the room thinking, oh yeah, I want to be a speaker. That kind of thing. Again, workshops. You can be on a panel, you can give mini workshops. A lot of these conventions and trade shows have all these different seminars going on. You could be giving one of them. And sometimes these events will also let you do a traditional book signing and reading. Going back to meetings, there's groups. Toastmasters can sometimes be a group that you can do, like TLI, they always have a guest speaker. Why not you? Why not you? Meetup groups are looking for speakers. Organizations are looking for speakers. And then there's schools, colleges and primary schools, and even adult education courses. You can be giving adult education courses. I've actually done that. Usually what happens with an adult education course is you come up with a curriculum, you pitch it to the school, and then they offer it. And if enough people sign up, you get to give the class and get paid a couple $100. It's not a moneymaker in itself, but it can give you experience, a little bit of money, and potential future clients. As far as colleges and primary schools, you can be a guest speaker in a classroom, or remember those days when they would cart you all up into the auditorium so you could listen to somebody give some speech that you didn't care about? You could be that speaker! Now on to virtual speaking. Oh, there are so many opportunities these days, and they are so easy. The obvious one is podcasts. Podcasts are growing. You can give your own podcast and be the host, or you can be the guest on other people's podcasts, which actually gets you more earballs for your book. You can get on radio and television, and that is both internet radio and television, as well as broadcast radio and television. In fact, the picture here on this slide is me being interviewed by a friend of mine who has an internet TV show. Wow. So the possibilities are endless. Now, these radio and television is a little bit harder to get on. You usually have to have something under your belt to show to them that you have value. But this is something you can parlay once you start doing all the freebie stuff. Recorded video. You can do what I'm doing. Give a speech, record it, edit it, slap it on YouTube, upload it to Facebook. These are great ways to share your information with the world. And if you get the keywords right, who knows? You might attract readers or clients via YouTube, because YouTube is, I believe, the #1 or the #2 search engine on the internet today. Live video. How many people know about Facebook Live? That's the obvious one, but other social media platforms are also doing live video. And I'll talk a little bit about that more. And then, of course, there's webinars. So podcasts, radios, and television. I already talked about this. Internet, broadcast. You can do interviews where you are interviewing other people. You can be the one who's being interviewed. You can get on talk shows where you just sit and chat for an hour about your expertise. Now, when you are on these formats, television, radio, podcast, you always need to be thinking, talk in sound bites. If you yammer on too much, the listeners, because they can't see you, they aren't, and often they're driving while they're listening to you, they're only going to pick up on these sound bites. So you want to really boil down your message into like really short and powerful statements that you can, in many cases, your interview is going to last like a minute and a half. So you're going to need to say everything you need to say within that short period of time. Recorded video. Again, like I said, there's YouTube, there's Facebook. And depending on how long your video is, you can upload video to Instagram. There are other video platforms like Vimeo. There's your own website. The kinds of videos that you want to do with recorded videos are tips. For example, when I was promoting 57 Secrets for Branding Yourself Online, I did a series of what I called virtual book readings, where I videotaped myself in a variety of locations. My mom's backyard, a hotel, a museum, and I read one of the 57 Secrets. So it was a tips video while also being a virtual book tour. Book trailers. If you have a book, you want to have a book trailer. Book trailers are really big these days. And you're going to want to have 3 versions of that book trailer. You want one version, which is for YouTube, which is probably pretty much, buy my book, go to my website, here it is. You're going to want another version, which you can upload to Amazon. You cannot tell them to go to another website for that video. So you can say, available wherever books are sold. And then you want a version that you're going to use for when you're stepping up on stage. You know, the video plays, music, and here's Carma. That one does not promote your book at the end. It just fades away, and then you walk onto stage, own it, you promote your book. So those are 3 different versions. There are also other different versions. You might even have different kinds of book trailers. For my next book, I plan on having a teaser trailer, and I have an educational trailer. I recently saw a book trailer where the guy was doing magic tricks because he was using the magic tricks to explain the content in his book. And it was really fun and clever. But you learned something while you watched it. It was a book trailer. Then there's interviews. Again, you can interview someone or you can be interviewed by someone. I've done a lot of these. I use Skype to record these videos. You can also use Google Hangouts. You can do Facebook Live and then upload it. And of course, if you're going to be speaking and start doing it more professionally, you're going to want a speaker reel, which means you're going to want that sizzle factor of you in front of audiences. So record every speaking engagement you ever do. Finally, live video. Now, the various places you can do live video today, as of this taping here, you've got Facebook, which is the most common. You've got YouTube, which has just gotten into it, and you kind of have to do a little funky thing in order to get your camera set up, and I believe you can only use Chrome to do it. Twitter. Now, Twitter is funky. You can't do the selfie. So you either have to have someone else holding the camera, or on my first Twitter Live, I looked in the mirror. It was very awkward. So I recommend having a friend do that for you. But the whole point in Twitter was that you're taping live events. They weren't thinking of people using it. So just have someone videotape you. Google Hangout. That's another, it's kind of like YouTube, but it's also separate. You can record videos there. And Instagram. Instagram videos are like 35 seconds long. So be pithy and then get off. You can't do, I tried doing, when I first tried it, I tried to do the same thing I was doing on Facebook, and it cut me off, which was very frustrating. So just know that depending on what media, which platform you're using, there are little different roles. Virtual speaking, webinars, and teleseminars. You again, See, there's always two prongs here. Host your own, be a guest on someone else's. And there are lots of platforms that you can use depending on how you're doing these. You can use Google Hangouts, you can use Facebook Live. If you're going to go the cheap way, these are free things you can use. Zoom you can use if your webinar is 45 minutes or less. And then of course this paid platform. In fact, the picture I have on the slide is from Webinar Ignition, which is a plugin for WordPress I purchased. And it creates all the sign-up pages and all that kind of good stuff. So it really depends on what you're doing with your webinar, how deep you want to go into it. But honestly, you can literally just say, hey everybody, I'm going live at 5 on Facebook. Then go live on 5 and there give your webinar. The only problem I've had with Facebook is that it often pixelates. I've found that it pixelates less if you're using your phone than if you're using a computer. But there's no guarantee there either. It's all about bandwidth. So there are pros and cons there. And that is my overview of the universe of speaking to promote your book. I hope you found some ideas that you are going to go and explore further. I hope this was helpful. And my purpose here was to spark the creativity. There is an amazing there's a cornucopia of things you can do to promote your book. Speaking is one of them that has a plethora all of its own. I hope that I helped you get some ideas for your next book launch tour.
Well, I hope you liked today's video. If so, why not go over to YouTube and give it a like? Also, please let me know in a comment below what you thought about it. And if you have any ideas for future videos, let me know that too. I want you to enjoy the weekday wisdom and get value out of it. And as always, think outside the box. Spread your wings and fly because you, yes, you right there, are capable of more than you know. And today's video just illustrated how much richness there is in just one technique to promote your book in a myriad ways.